I'm going to clear up some of the things that we wanted to do during class, some of them at least. Hopefully this will help you. So I'm taking the data, it's the declutter data that we used in class, and I'm going to show you how to create a calculated field for the bar chart that we recreated and how to label one single bar on the side-by-side bar chart and just clear up some other issues, basically try to recreate that graph as much as possible. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is I realize we need to have multiple marks cards here associated with each of the measures that we're using. So I'm going to show you how to create a kind of a dual access marks card with direct sales and indirect sales. And I realized that a lot of you probably created the graph the same way I did. So what I did was I clicked on year and then I expanded it like this. So year, quarter, month. I got rid of quarter and you can see the year here and then all the months of 2019. And then what I did is I went to show me, or I actually, sorry, then I double clicked direct sales and I double clicked indirect sales, or I dragged direct sales and then dragged indirect sales. And you created two graphs which you probably didn't like. I double clicked direct sales and then double clicked indirect sales and I got a table that looked like this. And then I clicked on the side-by-side side bar chart and it created a graph that looked like this. This is a fine, quick way to do it, but it doesn't, what we need to do is create what's called a dual access side-by-side bar chart, and Tableau doesn't really let you create a dual access side-by-side bar chart the way that that's basically kind of the easy way to do it. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about how to do that. It's not hard or anything, it's just a little bit more involved. Okay, so I'm going to just create a new sheet here so I can start from scratch. What you want to do is, like before, I double clicked date. I expanded date here. I'm not really interested in quarter, so I'm going to get rid of quarter. And you have, just like we had before. So I'm going to do it the way that you may have seen and you kind of freaked out, or you just didn't know what to do. You drag direct sales into rows, and then drag direct sales or indirect sales right next to it. And then you get these two kind of stacked line charts. What you need to do, and this is a good trick to combine them anyway, is go to this pill up here on indirect sales, click down, and select dual axis. And that basically combines both of the axes. So I'll just click the back button again. And if you notice, one of the axes for direct sales is 90, and one of them, or the top number is 90, and the top number here is 120. So if you click down on indirect sales, click dual access, what it does is, over here it says direct sales 90, indirect sales 120. It just combines the axes in multiple charts. So now what we need to do is fix the axes so that they have a common number, and we need to change this to a side-by-side bar. So what we can do is, oh, and you'll also notice that when we do it this way, we get the three value marks card, which will enable us to label individual bars on the side-by-side. So we have the all marks card, and then the direct sales and the indirect sales. So go to the all marks card, and we want a side-by-side bar. So what we need to do is go down to, well, actually, before we do that, we need to drag measure names. Sorry about that. We need to drag measure names. I think I double clicked it. We need to drag measure names up into the column section, and that will create these kind of the look of a bar. It's not a bar, but it'll create these little circles. And then for all here, you'll notice that the little automatic here went to a default of a circle, and we need to select bar. So again, I'm going to go back to what we had here, go to the table's measure names, drag it next to month, and then it should turn into a circle or something else, and you need to change it to a bar. So now we have these stacked, side-by-side bar charts. So again, we still have these axis problems. It doesn't really make any sense when we combine the axes and then we change it to a bar chart, because this is 90 and this is 120. So it doesn't really make any sense that way. So what we can do is a thing called synchronize the axis. So again, this is a little more complicated than just clicking several times, but you know, a lot of things in life are more complicated than they seem. So what I want you to do is go over here to the indirect sales axis, right click on it, and then select synchronize axis. So now, if you notice, the bars on this side kind of went down, and now the axis is 120, 120, the numbers line up. I'll do it again. So if you notice 90 over here to 120, right click the tallest axis and do synchronize axis, and then the axes will line up. Then what you need to do is get rid of one of them, because now they don't really make any sense. They're just kind of carry over from what we did before. So right click on this one over here, because most people don't really look to the right when they look at an axis. And then select show header. This is called a header. And then the axis is gone. Now this direct sales value, so when you're doing stuff like this, you have to make sure to keep the labeling consistent, and so I like to go ahead and get that over with so I don't forget about anything. So again, if you go to this axis, right click, go to edit axis. If you go to axis title, this is the labeling for direct sales. You can kind of just select value or something similar, and then X out of that, and it will change the value. So now all these numbers are relative to this 120 value right here. If you want to change the colors to match the graph that we're trying to recreate, so we're recreating this graph again. The direct sales are green and the indirect sales are blue. So you just go to color, edit colors, click on direct sales are green, and then apply. And then indirect sales, blue, apply. You can also select different types of blues or greens in the color palette here. So scroll up and down to whatever color you want. I'll just leave it as green and blue here. Okay, now we have, again, that was edit colors, direct sales green, and then indirect sales blue. Apply. Okay. Okay. Now I want to try to declutter the graph. So down here doesn't really make any sense to have all this text. So it's hard to really grasp where the axis here begins and ends. But I learned if you go to the top right here, or if you just click here on this top right, you can kind of get it a little bit. It's hard to really grasp the whole thing. You can unclick show header, and then that will disappear. So now it's a little cleaner instead of having this. I just went back. this text. Again, try to find the access here, unclick show header, and then that will disappear. And now we kind of have this green-blue labeling in our graph. Okay, so now what we want to do is, the question I received is how to basically label a single bar instead of label all of the bars with the value, which I'll show you how to do in a second. What we want to do is label a single bar relative to a certain goal. The goal is going to be the number 90 here, so the value of 90 will be our goal. And we want to label each bar in relation to that goal, and see how off we are, or how under we are of that goal, or how over we are of that goal. So first, I want to make the parameter goal and create this label here, which I showed you how to do in class, but I'll go ahead and do it in case you forgot. So go up here to data, next to data, click on analytics, click reference line, and drag it over to table. Click here. First we need to create the parameter, I'm sorry. So I'm going to undo that. Go to data, this little down arrow, create parameter. And we're going to call this goal, so type goal. Then we want to go to allowable values. And I'm going to create, we already have a field here called goal, and I'm going to do values from goal. And if you look at the Excel sheet underlying the data, all the values are 90, so that's what the goal comes from. So if you go to the data source, goal is all 90. Okay, we've created our parameter. You'll see it pop up here. I'll just drag this up here so it's a little easier. So we have this parameter, and now we can create our reference line. So go to analytics, click on reference line, drag it over. What I want to do is go to value, goal, and I want to change the color. I'm going to change it to red. And then click OK. This also created an average reference line, which might be a better number to use than goal, but for the purposes of this video, we're just going to use the goal parameter. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this average line. So we have goal here. You can edit this reference line. The value is goal. Here's the formatting. So that's basically how you do that. The labeling, if you want to change the label, you can go to custom. And right now it's just basically pulling the goal reference, but you can say, goal woohoo or something like that. You can basically make it whatever you want. So I'll just leave it goal woo because it's kind of fun. Okay, now we're going to create the calculated field so that we can show the differences here for a quick reference. But I want to put the label, I want to label each bar relative to the goal. So how much above the goal or below the goal is each bar. Because there's a lot of bars here, and a quick reference point to are we meeting the goal or not, you can clearly see, but you can't clearly see exactly how off of the goal or how above the goal we are. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we need to create a calculated field. So if you click on this bottom arrow, create calculated field, name it goal over. So goal over under, and I'm going to do this for direct sales first. So the calculated field should go calculated field for whether we're over or under our goal will be for direct sales. So we need to type if direct sales. So I'm basically just creating an if statement, just like in Microsoft Excel. Type the bracket and then direct sales. You can either spell it out or this will have a drop down menu. So if direct sales is greater than or equal to bracket goal, that will pull the parameter of goal, then direct sales minus goal. So what's this saying is if the direct sales here, direct sales are green. If this is over the goal of 90, then we're going to show how much it's over. And then we want to show if it's under, so there's only two statements here, so we can just do an if. Otherwise, it will be under if it's not over. So we'll do goal minus direct sales. And then end. So end, basically when you're making a calculated field, you always need to push end. So again, what's happening is if the direct sales are greater than or equal to goal, which is 90. So if one of these numbers is greater than or equal to 90, then we're going to subtract the larger number minus 90 so that we can show the larger number. Else, we're going to subtract the 90 from the direct sales. Alternatively, I mean, you can change this up if you want to. So you could show a negative number, you could switch these. So direct sales minus goal, and then Tableau would show as negative number. But we have this reference point, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that everyone knows that we're under our goal because we have this reference point. So I'm going to push OK. Now we created this calculated field. So again, the point of creating the bar chart this way is we can have these basically 3 different marks cards, and having the 3 different marks cards allow you to use the calculated fields properly. So this calculated field is for direct sales, so it says sum direct sales. So everything we do here will be for direct sales. Like you could change the color for direct sales, the size I think will change for direct sales, and not any other bar. So what we're going to do is label this green one with this calculated field, and it should only label the green bars. So I'm going to drag this calculated field into label. And then if you notice, it's subtracting like we did. So this is only 1.8 off of the goal. This is 13.7 off of the goal. This is 42 off of the goal, and so on. And you'll notice that since we dragged it into the direct sales only, it's below, or it's only labeling on the green bars, which are direct sales. Now, if we want to do the same thing for indirect sales, we create a calculated field over, under, indirect. Then we do if, we'll do the same calculated field for indirect goal. I'm going to go a little faster this time because I already explained it slower. So if indirect sales is greater than or equal to goal, then indirect sales minus goal. Else goal minus indirect sales. And then end. Click OK. And that creates the calculated field over here. So what you want to do indirect, so click on, this is all, this is direct, click on indirect, and then we want the bar to be labeled with the calculated field. So we just drag this into the label, and then the blue gets the label. And basically that's how you label separate bars on a side-by-side bar graph. All right. Also, I wanted to show you, a student asked me how to get these graphs or these bars to touch. It looks like the best way or easiest way to do it, it works when you create the bar chart this way and not really the first easy way I showed you how. It's just to go to the All Marks card, click on Size, and just move the size all the way to the top. You know, I kind of like a little bit of white space, but you are the one that is responsible for visualizing the graph. So this is totally up to you. Another student asked me how to, which I struggled with too, is how to move the months here down to the bottom, because in the Excel graph the months are in the bottom. I looked a lot around, and please send me an email if you figured out how to do this. It looks like there are ways, but they're extremely complicated to actually move the months. The one way I've kind of figured out how to do it is you click on the pill up here, this month, and you click Control on your keyboard, and then you drag, you basically duplicate this pill. So click Control and drag this over to measure names, or over to the right of measure names. It creates the month down here, but for some reason Tableau, it seems like, and I've spent I've spent a lot of time looking for this. It basically creates each bar associated with one month instead of January, February, March up here for both of the bars at one time. So this is kind of the best solution I came up with, but I think it's pretty cluttered. So I think a good thing to do is just leave it like this. And it's important to know that Tableau has its own structure. I'm not saying it's not possible to label the months like this, but for this side-by-side bar chart, it looks like it's a little bit extremely hard to do and not really worth the time going into. Okay, I figured out a way. It's not exactly recreating the graph, but if you remember, the goal was to possibly, was to extend the graph and make it less cluttered. So I found out a way that you can put the dates on the bottom, but it's harder to do with a stacked bar. So I'm going to make what's called like a bar in bar chart. So one bar will be out kind of inside another bar chart, and hopefully this will clear up some issues. So what we're going to do is basically create the graph like we did last time. So I double clicked year. I'm going to get rid of quarter, month, so have year and month at the top. I'm going to drag direct sales here, and I'm going to drag indirect sales here. I'm going to go to the marks card, because remember this creates 3. I'm going to go to bar, and that will create 2 different bar charts here. Like last time, I'm going to drop down on indirect sales and go to dual axis, and that combines the axes for each, remember 90 and 120 again. So again, I'm going to do synchronize axis, so everything is synchronized. I'm going to get rid of an axis. Unclick show header here. And remember, it may not seem like it, but there are values underneath these blue. And then I'm going to go to the indirect sales. So it looks like it's covered up by blue, and direct sales is green. So for indirect sales, I'm gonna make it smaller. So we started like here, and I'm gonna make this little lever or slider smaller. And then you can actually see the indirect sales are blue and the direct sales are green. Um, and you see the months at the bottom here. And you could also see, yeah, the points are all lining up. Again, I need to change this label. So if you edit access, again, like we did last time to value, oops, click X, and then that way you kind of have the months um, like we had them last time, or like we have them on the reference graph here. Again, it's kind of hard to do that with the stacked, or the side-by-side, I'm sorry, bar chart here. And if you figure out a way to do that easily, let me know. But could be another solution and a good way to recreate the graph. You'd also want to add the reference point and then see how everything looked with a calculated field. But this is kind of another solution that I thought you might be interested in. Okay, so that's all for now. Let me know if you have any questions, and happy visualizing.